morning and welcome to this new episode of Christine Means Business. I'm so delighted to have you. My name is Christine Hansen, and today we are going to talk about people. Now, most of us do work with people in some shape or form if you're an entrepreneur, whether you are an artist and you have to deal with clients who are evaluating your art, whether you want to or not, or whether you are a service provider like a coach or a consultant, or whether you have a brick and mortar store, anything, or even an online store, it doesn't matter. You have to deal with people. So today I want to talk a little bit about that because I took a decision for myself personally that I would try to reduce the number of people that I work with drastically, simply because it is really stressful for me. So my type of personality, which might also resonate with you, is that I do enjoy from time to time to be with a lot of people. I'm a generator by human design, which means that I can really get fired up. Last year, I organized a lot of events and I really enjoyed those particular evenings to moderate, to welcome people, to talk to everyone, to welcome everyone. I really loved that. But after that, I would need my quiet time too. Now, when I work with clients in my personal business here, it is a little bit different because I learned from the past when I might have accepted some clients, especially with Sleep Like a Boss, who ticked all the boxes in terms of being a perfect client with their sleep issues. And personality-wise, sometimes it was really high maintenance, also because they were tired, obviously. They had a lot going on. And, being really bombarded with text messages in the middle of the night or having like 5,000 emails the next day in my inbox about stressed out clients, that stressed me out too a lot. And it's not what I want for myself. And the good thing is, if you're self-employed, is that you can choose. It doesn't matter what kind of business you have. The way you choose is by being very clear in your messaging about what you want, who you want to attract, and also to really clearly kind of say what you don't want, who you don't want. Part of this is obviously your branding, the way you look, you present yourself to the outside. If I were to constantly wear, for example, sportswear, like a Lululemon kind of style, and every photo of me would be like with a green drink or something like that, I would speak to a certain audience. As it is, I like to present myself, especially at the moment, and it might change again, is in a very crisp black and white campaign, or, quite high end, selective, a little bit more exquisite and sometimes even unattainable, I guess, and intimidating. But I do that by design because I love people who get that. And to also have a business or a personality where they give it their all, but on a selective basis. And that can be scary, especially if you are in a mindset of, I have to make this work. And please understand, I absolutely get the feeling when your bank account is dwindling and you start to panic and you're back to selling your soul, which you did when you had a regular job before, most likely, and you take on loads of clients who don't actually fit your criteria, your interior criteria, or you design a program with much more people that might bring you in a lot of income, but it's very, very demanding. And that freedom that you wanted and why you started your business in the first place is actually taken away because you have such a responsibility as well, right? Because you have to deliver as well. And for me, this is just a no-go today. And my clients that I work with are very, very similar. So they are, and I wish for everyone to get there quickly. So I'm really telling you in a way that this is possible, that you have permission to do that, to really, really also say no to opportunities that just don't quite fit, where you just don't feel it in your gut. Just say, I'm sorry, but this is not what I want to do right now. It's not the right time. I just think there's too many discrepancies. I don't think I can deliver. And it's also something new in my messaging that I understood, though, that is really important to me, is that the high standards I have towards clients is the same towards me delivering high standards. Because I can promise you, if I know that I haven't delivered 100%, that I haven't worked well, that I've let a client down, I can't live with myself. I feel terrible. And it's rarely happened, but it has. I'm not perfect either. And it's not an excuse. It's definitely a lesson learned though. However, in order to be able to do that, I really need to also be careful that I work with people who communicate well, where expectations are very clear on what I expect from them, what they expect from me, where we can measure this, where we can have no confrontation because there's no room for it, because everything has been laid out from the start. And that experience alone is helping the businesses that I consult to implement that in their business as well, whether it's with their team members, whether it's with clients who commission some of their work, it doesn't matter, but it is really, really key. So you will see what that is like when you do work with me or when you are in my world. You will see that everything is very clearly spelled out. So that is one thing that I really want to express, because it's, saying I don't like people kind of makes you antisocial in a way. And sometimes I am. But it also is a protection mechanism today, like even if it might sound a little bit like, oh, she's so selective, who does she think she is? You kind of have to get over that judgment and not care, which I don't anymore. But it took me some years to get there. It's just maturity, which I think comes partly with age, with self-development, personal development, coaching, all of that jazz. And I'm very clear that today I don't serve people anymore who are still struggling with this. If you do struggle with this, there's so many great resources, so many great coaches out there. But I really, truly work with people who have already done that, who know who they are, what they like, what they stand for, what their values are, which makes everything a lot more transparent. Just as I say that I'm high end, I love luxury, I live for luxury, I don't care that I spend on one handbag what other people do in a year. It is the way it is. I work for mine. I serve my money. I'm a steward to money. I love it. And it's just who I am. Take it or leave it. There's always discussions about all kinds of things. You can never be perfect for everyone. Doesn't mean that you have to be a terrible person. I don't think that's what I am at all. Very transparent, very direct. And I apologize if sometimes my directness is overbearing. I've become much better at becoming aware of that. But it is also part of what people cherish, because there's no dancing around a weird topic. We get to it with as much love and without any judgment as I can muster, as a human being. So I think sometimes hearing others talk about that is very, very helpful. I know that I love talking to fellow entrepreneurs about this. And it's not that we do like any sort of client bashing, but it's just learning from what works for us and what doesn't work for us. And so I think for everyone listening, it's a good exercise to evaluate, am I actually on the right track? Am I happy with who I'm working? Is my messaging is it honest? Is it true? And your messaging might be softer. Your messaging might be harder. It's really up to what you think is right for you at this moment. And I'm excited to see what will happen, especially if right now you are like, oh, you know what? I'm actually not being honest with myself. I'm not being too honest with my audience. I would love to know. I would love it. I do love a good before and after, so and that's also an invitation to have a regular look at my website. I can't really say right now because I don't know when you will be listening to this episode, but what I can say is that my website evolves every year and a half or so. So swing by in yearly intervals and you will see that things will constantly change, also because I'm changing. And having that permission, giving yourself that permission is also absolutely important. So you will see, especially over the last 3 years, I went from serving more the beginner level to the mature level, now definitely the established level, where it's not even about, I need to make this work, but it's like, I want to make this better. It's already great, but there is more potential there, and I want to make this even better. That is where I come in. And I consult all kinds of businesses. I even consult worldwide business schools, like worldwide highly established business schools, on what I would suggest to change, in application processes and so forth. So there's a lot of things that you can do with your knowledge, just with what you do, with your expertise. And I think, that's kind of the message that I wanted to share today with you. To have permission, to be selective, to be very clear on what you want. And maybe you love people and you want to serve as many as you can. And even when you do that, be mindful that you don't spread yourself thin. And I do agree, finding a container that will help you to monetize enough to finance the lifestyle that you need and want, which can be very different things. Because want, obviously, or desire means that it might be a lot higher finance than what you necessarily need. Finding structures can sometimes be challenging if you don't go by the typical pattern of more people means more money. Obviously, high end, you can't push your prices to complete ridiculousness just because you don't want to work with more people. I mean, that's something that I've really started to embrace. You can't become ridiculous with your pricing. There's always, worldwide, there are some prices there where you roll your eyes, those are ridiculous, but that doesn't mean that you need to belong to that kind of group, let's put it that way. There's a difference between knowing your value and between just charging tremendous amounts just because you can and because, you're a good marketer. You do still need to. For me personally, I really do stand behind every penny that people or cent that people invest in me because it is worth it. But it's, I'm not going to charge 5 times more just because I feel like it, because then even I am like, I wouldn't even feel comfortable with that. So I think there's different things to do, though, new elements or ways of selling that I've been thinking about, and obviously it depends on what you do. Like products, obviously you have limited editions. Products, I'm also thinking that you can do classes, you can do pre-recorded videos on process making, or you can tie in so many things that you can sell on autopilot. Same if you're an artist, why not record some master classes? Think about the masterclass format, like literally, the app that is like Netflix for masterclasses. You can do this. There's so many ways to do that. If you're a service provider, obviously you can do courses, but if you do bespoke like me, it's difficult. I don't feel like I will ever be able to teach just a one size fits all course because my businesses that I work with are so different and my processes change all the time. However, though, I am thinking of like a hybrid mastermind private client mode where it's just a few people, just a short time, like 3 months, not a long-term commitment, which I can breathe with, which my client can breathe with. And I prefer to be a little bit more intense for a short time rather than have like a year-long commitment that starts to get boring to me or to my clients and just sizzle away, which I see happening a lot of the time. It's obviously a great model, and I did do that. I had a mastermind that I served for a year, and it was great in terms of what income is going to come in, but it was for me too draining after a while. So I learned from that it was great to try, but I'm not going to do it again. So that would also fit in the box if you, air quotes, don't like people. It's a way that you can still monetize well and still have, your space, your air to breathe, and obviously be highly selective and clear in your messaging. So hopefully this has helped. There's a lot of different elements in this episode. But I think the conclusion is that be aware of the number of people that you're offering your services to, what kind of people you offer your services to. And I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback, please let me know. Email me. If you don't have anything kind to say, then don't say nothing at all, which is what I prefer. But if you have something kind to say, I would love to hear it. Also, that's kind of it. So thank you for listening, and I'll be talking to you in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye for now.